Coming to you viewers live from a place called Gray, and nowhere else could be the same, because today we are taking a look at the Mr. Gloat podcast. Today we have a couple announcements. Now, first of all, today is July the 12th. Today's Sunday, and I edit all of my 5 episodes of The Road to the Autumn Weight Championship, which is what I'm going to call it, not the Undisputed. It's a long title. It's from Monday to Friday, all episodes. As I'm recording this one, this episode will be uploaded on Saturday. I'm going to record some episodes in the middle, so they might be uploaded days apart. And even though I've uploaded 10 episodes this month right now, and it's already not 10 episodes yet, but I've done all 10 episodes, are all published on July until, let me look that up, the 17th? Yes, until the 17th, and there's going to be a little bit more. So, yeah, it's I did promise to only say I'm going to do 10 episodes. Like last June, I did almost 12 episodes, and I promised to do 10. After this is over, the month of August, I am going to take a hiatus by uploading maybe not more than 10 episodes until maybe I reach 65 episodes or so on before I get to the 70th. I'm actually going to do a interesting special because I'm still... because all of my thumbnails are not that interesting to look at. They're just covered in black screen with a screen picture like you viewers are watching right now. So I'm going to try to do some interesting, trying to put some artwork and also other background stuff, but also try to put out other pictures, boxes, so I could start having collaborative to other people. So that's what it's going to try to be. I don't expect nothing crazy from it, but I don't expect it to be as boring as it should. Depending if there's people out there that even like to do my content in sync, because that's what I feel like it should be mostly. But for now, considering I am uploading a lot of stuff that doesn't get myself hyped up, because I've used up all of my energy for almost a full week, and I've lost a lot of it, draining out so much of it, that I don't even use all of my energy. I use a lot of my energy so much, but when you look back at it, it's not that hard for me to understand. You gotta hype yourself up, no matter what the cause is. There's a lot of stuff out there. You can hype yourself up quietly, or you can hype yourself up talking slowly. You gotta understand the process of understanding what exciting content should be. Now, what I'm gonna try to do, maybe by the end of August, I'm actually going to think about, because the month of February and August is 6 months. So I feel like maybe I'm just going to take some time off from that and actually decide to record videos or even upload videos maybe until Saturday or any other type of day in the month of September and other years. So it might be 4 or 5 weeks of content for so on. And I think it's probably for the best to do it. And if there's times I might upload a double feature every week, then it is. Because I think it's better to save your energy as best you can. But it's all about keeping it content persistently. So if I don't get a lot of views every single day, which I haven't been, then maybe it's probably for the best for me to take it easy until when school vacation is over. And I have done a lot of stuff to do that. So with that being said, it's time to break it down. Now this video is going to be short. It's nothing going to be crazy. I think it's better for me to take it down just a quiet notch, just for the heck of it. And the information we like to talk about is a couple topics that might be surprising to the naked eye. Now, as recording for everything else, the FIFA World Cup, this is what the information is. Now, of course, I've already did talk about the end, since how shocking it was of how France defeated Morocco 2-0. It's the same thing like what happened the last year ago, and how horrific it was, and how France were kicking shots in the goal so much more than Morocco, and it still happens this year. And I don't understand how the heck Canada I don't understand how Canada didn't try, and even though Mexico came closer than ever, and USA effed it all up. And it didn't matter because Belgium lost against Spain 2-1, which was even worsely ridiculous, because how could you lose against a country that defeated the Americans? But again, that's what I thought. So seeing Spain defeat Belgium was just horrible enough. Again, they had to earn it. They scored an early goal around 30 before the first half. Belgium scored the other goal, and at 88 minutes, another team scored one, and by the end of the game to win. England, on the other hand, defeated Norway, who's only been in the appearance of World Cup for only 4 times. And even though Norway tried, they scored out gold in 36 minutes. And then around 45 and plus 2 minutes, England scored one as well. And I guess they went to extra time because at 93 minutes of the game, England scored and got to the game. As for Argentina, no comment. Even though Lionel Messi didn't score crap in the game, they did have a buddy of theirs that scored an early goal. And midway through the game, Switzerland scored one, and then they went to extra time. Only for another team from Argentina to score one at 112. And then, just to add chaos and injuries for insult, by the end of the game, over the 120-minute mark, they scored another one just to up it by 3-1. So that means the semifinals is going to be France versus Spain, England versus Argentina. The problem is this. England has already won the World Cup. British has already become champion since 1966. And that's the best they've ever done. There's no point. Spain, well, it took them a long time, but they got one just at 2010. And as for France, well, France has created a lot of controversies in their career as a 1998 team, and their controversy for a headbutt moment that happened some years later, and they did it again 2018 after 20 years. Nothing controversial there. Argentina, they went on their way to become from 78 to 86 and then finally come back decades later in 2022 to finally win one. And again, it's utterly disastrous. Like, we have Pan American Championship of 1960. They're also the UEFA Cup of Champions of 1993 to 2022, even though it's not much of an appearance for them. They're the 1992 champion of the Confederation Cup. That's nothing to be added. Like, Argentina has won everything. While France, on the other hand, has done it a lot more dangerous. From becoming the 1984 and 2000 European champions to the National League finals in 2021, only making 2 appearances, but it's not a new series because it's been around for only some years. While the UEFA Cup of Champions were then in 1985, which was their only appearance. And just to let people know, the UEFA has been established, a foundation of 85 to 2022 of a reestablishment. So technically, they started in 1985. They did it again in 1993, where Argentina won, and in 2022 again. And it says that in 2026, they were going to do a final for Argentina and Spain this year. But what's crazy, when I looked it up, it says that the match was canceled due to the 2026 Iran war and the inability to reach an agreement to set another venue. So technically, you can call this the final match for that because for some reason, they're already coming to the finals. But the problem is Spain, like if Spain defeats France and then they take on against Argentina, that would be their recreation of that game for the UEFA that they should have done this year. But because of the Iran war, that would still make interesting history, just for the heck of it. Like, they couldn't compete in the finals, but hey, they could do it in the World Cup, so hey, let's do that. But the problem is, like, even though France and Argentina should be careful because maybe their undefeated record over 3-0 from their groups with 0 draws, is that going to affect one of the teams? Probably, and that might end the story moment. Like, I am going to rate this entirety a D tier for this event at that, because I might rate this entire World Cup as D tier just for giving Argentina and France the benefit of the doubt if they do compete in the finals. But if both of them fail or if one of them do, I'm going to give this F tier for the worst ever World Cup in history because it just seems like a waste of time. So keep that in mind. Oh yeah, and by the way, speaking about the other division, the Confederation Cup has listed France becoming the 2001 and 2003 championship, and those were the only 2 appearances they've ever performed in their career. Undefeated, without no damage. And they defeated Japan and the Korean and one Confederation, 1-0. At least France tried. They finished second and they got to it. Same thing is for American. Like, Americans have made it to the Confederation Cup and made to to the semifinals. They failed, but defeated Saudi Arabia and the bronze medalists. They did it in 1992 as well. So, and the USA lost against France in 2009 in South Africa in the finals of the Confederation. So, at least America has made it to the finals. So I can't argue that America stinks. By the way, here's something interesting. A friend of mine, we once had a conversation of how, oh, the Americans don't try, they don't care about the sport, it's all about baseball. And then I tell them about the women. Well, that doesn't make sense. Like, wait, the women, Japanese women, Asian, and American women have done great. It doesn't make sense how they're good or not. And they say, well, women stink, they're the worst. And I tell him, what are you talking about? They're 4-time Women's FIFA World Cup champions in America. And he says, well, what about the time when they lost against the juniors, against 11th grade junior boys? It's terrible. And I agreed with him. And I even talked about him is that I think they should just get rid of it because it might become a misogynist to people to not even ask these women out if they can't beat boys up. And then he just says, well, here's the thing. The women do compete in those because they're not there to compete tough, but they're just there to practice for the FIFA Women's World Cup. They're not there to win, which, again, it's like, why should I even ask one of those females out on a date if they can't beat up against men? It's like the problem is for putting genders against genders. If one guy kicks a ball in a woman's face, or if one of them decides to overdo something and start tripping one of the girls, or even if someone accidentally elbows one of them, can you imagine that? Wait, imagine the chaos of that being disastrous. So I just can't buy that. It's dangerous for me to even put that together as a legitimacy. It's just one of these days something terrible is going to happen, and it's not going to end well. So we got to do something about that. But again, here's the thing. Like, the USA has made it to these semifinals 3 times, and they made it once to the finals. Heck, even Mexico finished 4th place twice in 2005 and 2017, of all people. And not only that, the country of Cameroon lost against France in 2003, which are an African country. So at least that's something to be talked about. You can't argue about that. And wow, look at this. Mexico were also the 1999 champions. I did not know that. So, and Brazil are the dominants. Unfortunately, for some reason, looking up information, there was a present that something might come above, like in 2022. People said that, but there might be a World Cup or something going on, as due to its credibility, the UEFA, known as the Finalissima, did come back in 2022, which might be the tournament. So I'm assuming that might be similar to Confederation. I don't know. And other stuff present to the world right now. There has been getting talks about other hosting and other tournaments, but for the Confederation era. But again, there's considering that the 2017 October, the FIFA divulged plans to abolish the Confederation Cup by 2021 and replace it with the quadrennial of 2014 FIFA Club World Cup. Never heard of that before. And move the ladder tournament of December and June for 2019. Other stuff going on here. Yeah, the presents. So it seems like the efforts to launch competition, including the winners of Copa America and European Champion, of the idea is to have the European Championship and Copa America both be played 2 years ahead of the World Cup, with the new tournament played a year before the World Cup and the national that will host the World Cup. An edition of the tournament was considered for 2022, and on June 1st, 2022, Argentina beat Italy in the 2022 finalism. Yep, we know that. Yeah. Relaunch the CONMEBOL UEFA Cup of Champions, which again they did in 1988, 85, and they did again in 1993, and now they're doing it 4 years ago. So I can't really say much about that, but still surprising. Like, North America has become Confederation Cup champion, so that's something interesting to look at. Oh, what is this tournament? The FIFA Confederation Cup Finals? Interesting. Brazil's a dominator. Okay, so okay, there's nothing interesting here. It's just similarities, but yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So they only did 10 tournaments of this since 1992 to 2017, and at least some of the Asian countries and African and North American have made to the finals. So again, I'm not saying North America doesn't care, but if the men in the division compete in the Confederation Cup could actually try, then it's possible. But yeah, I understand. Like, yes, the Confederation Cup only does 8 teams. Like in 1992, they only had 4 teams, which America was counted for. So it made sense how they finished third, and Mexico finished third in 95 with only 6 teams. And from 1997 all the way to 2017, the last 8 tournaments only had 8 teams. I understand. I get it. There's only 8 teams, but it makes the competition even out for those countries to have a tough battle and entertainment for excitement. So I understand. But still, it's worth the watch here. Again, let's look up the 2001 FIFA World Cup. It's kind of ridiculous because, like, France scored 2 wins against South Korea, a loss against they won against South Korea, but lost against France, and then won against Mexico. Even Australia defeated Mexico and France, but they couldn't even get the job done on Korea, which is funny. While Japan did the opposite. They defeated Canada, obvious. Brazil defeated Cameroon. Brazil and Canada tied. Japan defeated Cameroon, and then both Brazil and Japan tied. And Cameroon finished the job on Canada. Great. So yeah, Japan were undefeated. A guy named H. Nakata defeated out Australia with his 1 goal at 43 minutes. A guy named Pyers got Brazil at 7 minutes in their first goal, and a guy named Raymond from Brazil scored one at 30 minutes, and a guy named Desailly from France scored one at 54 minutes to get a 2-1 victory. After that, in the third round playoffs, Australia's player Murphy scored a goal at 84 minutes to win that match for third place, and unfortunately, from France, they scored a goal at 30 minutes with Vieira, winning the winning goal against Japan, and that was it. Dang. And surprisingly, even though Japan lost, they were still credited as becoming the FIFA Fair Play Trophy. So, can't say they played fair. If France were playing dirty, I can understand why, because some years later, we would already have that controversial France headbutting someone and how controversial that was. So, can't say much about that, am I right? But all in all, I think my point is here, at least these countries are having fair play to compete in these tournaments. So, yes, they lose against Brazil, and France have won so much. And even though France never competed again, which is funny because they were the host. Wow. So I really can't say it's a waste of time. So it's great that these other national football tournaments happen elsewhere around the world. So at least it's not a waste of time. Like, look at this, the UEFA National League that started back in 2018. Portugal has become a 2 reigning current champion in history, which is pretty surprising because, yes, they're Europe, but I never seen them do that good in the FIFA World Cup, even though they finished third in 1966. And out of 9 appearances, that was their debut, and that they never done good since. But they have become European champions. They have become the national champions twice and finished third in the Confederation of 2017. So it's not a waste of time. So at least there's some toughness for other countries to get their opportunities. So I think it should hype up these people so much. By the way, consider they only said they had 55 teams. They even have Spain that barely defeated Croatia in the 2022 and 2023 finals after having a 0-0 game, and they only went to penalty kicks after 122 minutes, and Spain scored 5-4 on penalty kicks there. That's pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. But by the way, how many teams were there in that tournament? 55 teams. Wow, wait, 55 teams? Whoa. That's decent amount. Wow. 4, 8, 12, 16. Oh, so we only have 4 groups for 16. Dang, that's crazy. So technically, all in all, that's actually pretty surprising. Like, I could talk about the FIFA World Cup all day right now, and that would be surprising for this information here because it kind of surprises me. But yeah, my whole point is that Argentina and France have won every single event in the entirety of those tournaments. Like, look at Europe, for instance. When you look at it is crazy that England, there's actually talks on YouTube that England are becoming underdog stories right now for the tournament, being voted as the underdogs because, yes, they were the 66 Cup champions. They were runner-up in the 2020 and 2024 European Championships and third place in 2019 in the National Leagues. That's pretty good for them in their final years. So seeing them finally get through this, if they don't defeat Argentina, that would be surprising. Even for France, that would defeat Spain. Because the thing is, Mbappe has scored 8 goals for his country of France. And Lionel Messi has scored 8 goals as well. So both of those two guys have tied up records for ridiculousness. It's not funny. It is surprising that the Denmark fighter named Haaland has already scored 7. He's out. And a couple English people named Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham have scored 6 goals. And their other buddy, Ousmane from France, has scored 5. Even the guy from America named Fullerin Bologun scored 3 goals for his American team, but it wasn't enough, even though he tried hard, just like the Mexican player named Julian Quinones. He scored 4 goals, and he did everything they could for his country, and they still couldn't get the job done. So, yeah, it is ridiculous to it's ridiculous to just see this level of competition where you just see so much ridiculousness. And by the way, the record for the most goals scored was a guy named Guillermo Stabile, who was from Argentina in their 1930 inaugural World Cup, which Argentina lost against Uruguay in that first ever event. And then it went on years later until a guy named Sandor Kocsis in 1954 in the Switzerland game scored 11 goals. A guy named Just Fontaine scored 13 goals in France in 1958. And that's 13 goals broke the record for a long, long time. And as of 1958, no one has came close to break the record. Like, we had a guy named Eusebio in 1966 from Portugal to score 9. Gerd Mueller scored 10 goals in 1970 in the Mexico games from Germany. Even Ronaldo in 2002 from France, he only scored 8 in 2002 for those games. And Mbappe scored 8 goals in 2022. So considering they're in the semifinals, Lionel Messi and France could dominate the competition in the semifinals and play their hardest out in the final game, but I don't see anyone getting 13 goals or so. 10 goals or even maybe close to 12 goals, that could still be a historical moment to watch here, but I don't see 13 goals being scored this year. But again, you got to understand how those 13 goals were scored by Just Fontaine in 1958 is because it was the most ridiculous goal of career, because this guy from France took their country to another level. Because Fontaine scored 3 goals against a dominating Paraguay, 7-3, Went on in the next game, scoring 2 goals against Yugoslavia, even though Slavia defeated them 3-2, but he was performing the entire game that day. And scored another one against Scotland that won 2-1 in their game. So that's a total of 6 goals scored in their entirety of that tournament. And it wasn't over. He scored 2 more against Northern Ireland, winning 4-0 in the bracket of the quarterfinals. And you're probably wondering, where was the USA at the time if this was the quarterfinals? They never even made it to the finals. They didn't. That just stinks. Again, France went on and scored another goal. And they lost 5-2. So, yeah, if I had to count all of that, like 3. Now I'm trying to look it up. Let me just try to count this on. Like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so there's only 9 goals. So now I'm confused on where's the 9th goal. Oh, here it is. Yes. The third place finals. France defeated West Germany 6-3. And Fontaine scored 4 of those goals to get a dominant victory of 13 goals. They never won the World Cup that year. And if you want to say who broke the record for scoring the most goals in their team by becoming World Cup champions, well, it definitely wasn't Justin Fontaine or Sandar from the country of Hungary, which they did well in the 1954 games, but they didn't get against West Germany, so that doesn't count. The first ever country to become a goal-winning record. So the first time a guy that scored the record for the most goals but won the World Cup was a guy named Mario Kempes from Argentina that helped his team become the 1978 Argentina World Championship, scoring 6 goals. A guy named Paolo Rossi, 4 years later from Italy, won the World Cup in 1988 by scoring 6 goals. So 6 goals is the record there. We had tied there. And again, there we go. Ronaldo in 2002, Ronaldo scores the record for the most goals by scoring 8 goals by winning the World Cup. So that's the record there. Nothing there. Yep, again, Mbappe scored 8 goals in 2022, and they still lost against Lionel Messi's team, Argentina. So technically, my point is, if both of these teams can win the game, if both Argentina and France wins their semifinals, makes it to the finals, and any of them can score 9 or 10 goals or so on, or battle each other, because Mbappe and Lionel Messi are going to take it slowly as they can, because they got to perform as best they could, because it's hard to understand how good they are. And it just goes to show you how tough it is to become a tough country when you're in this situation. I find this one to be an ironic turn of events. So with all that being said, what was the world record for the most top assists? Record for top assists from a provider. Oh, then we have 8 for a guy named Raymond Kopa in 58, a guy from France. 8 is the record. Wow, 1958 was a year for France to break records that year in 58, but they still didn't win the World Cup. Okay, so who has the record for the most top assists by winning the World Cup? So first country, Mario Zagallo from Brazil won the 62 World Cup by scoring 5 assists, and 6 players tie the record for 4 goals. That's, wow, 4 goals? That's pretty lousy. Anyway, is there other records here? No. Wow. Poland did something in 74? Man, they didn't even win. Sheesh. So, okay, so 5 is still the record. Oh, in 1970, a guy named Pele Edson scored 6 assists, breaking the record there, and won Brazil's 3rd World Cup. That's pretty special. Wow, in 1998, 7 players only had 3 assists. That's a pretty record there. Um, okay, so wow, that's another record there. I don't know who has the most top assists, but again, it's better to look that up now than later. The top assists in okay, there's no information for who has the most. Wow, we do have a bunch of red cards in Group A. A guy named Sitol from South Africa was red card on match day 1 against in Group A of verse. Wow, okay. Wow, South Africa really love getting red cards there, and even their other buddy named Mokoena. Wow, he had 2 yellow cards. Man, so it just goes to show you, Mexico. What? Wait a minute. Wait. So our American USA player named Folarin Balogun was red card at the round of 32 when the USA defeated Bosnia. And it says here he was suspension due to ban suspended. Their USA player was banned before the game of Bosnia was over. Dude, no wonder the USA could not stand a chance against defeating Belgium because their star player was gone. And I'm sure the outcome would have been the same. The USA would have lost either way, but not by losing by 3 goals of 4-1. Maybe they would have lost 3-2 or 2-1 if Florin was there in the game if he wasn't red card. Dude, that's messed up. That. Dude. Dude, this is messed up. Like, all I can say is there's a lot of ridiculousness going on here, but there's so much controversy going on here, but that it just gets more crazy. Like, all the information I'm looking up here is the most ridiculous thing I'm ever looking at in my whole life, that I really can't understand how all of this is happening. Like, dude, if Argentina and Brazil don't make it to the finals or so, this is going to be F tier. I'm going to put this entire show on F tier, make a video, and put all the events of what I believe are A tiers and which is the best ever World Cup in the men's side of World Cup, because this is not worth it. This is controversy at its greatest. And I don't know. This one's controversial. I find this to be a huge problematic for all of us here to see that. And this happened in America. Now I'm expecting a riot here. And by the way, their team captain is a guy named Tim Riem, who's born in Missouri, which makes sense that he stinks. No matter how hard they try, they can't do squat. So ridiculous. It's kind of ridiculous. You know what's crazy? The highest they ever been rated was becoming number 4, the 4th highest in April of 2006 by becoming the greatest team. Their lowest ever was back in July 2012 by becoming ranked 36. So America, they can't be that terrible, but I think their pressure is up against these countries that they are always scared of. And maybe they're not scared, but again, they don't have that fortitude of pressure against them. Again, it is kind of crazy that in 1904, by the way, this is actually new to me. So America has played in the Olympic Games. The Olympics, by the way, the Olympics do have football as well. In 1904, America did compete. There was actually 23 out players that ever played in the 1904 Olympic Games, and it was actually a team called Gloat Football Club, which was hosted from Canada for all places. So technically, this was the USA of a bunch of Christian, known as Christian Brothers College, St. Rose Parish. Christian Brother? What the heck? These are the weirdest names I've ever read in my life. Surprisingly, the whole tournament was only just... So there were only 3 teams, 2 of them from USA, known as Christian Brothers College, St. Rose Parish, and another was Gloat FC. And the tournament was already over after 2 days, because on November the 16th, 1904, Canada defeated the Christian Brothers 7-0. And then a day later, they took on St. Rose Parish and won 4-0. 3 days later, both USAs took on against each other. The first one was a draw, and the second, Christian Brothers won 2-0. And okay, wow, Canada became gold medalist in the Olympic Games. That's wow. I call that ridiculous and stupid, and not worth it. Not worth it one damn bit. And at least in 1908, the Olympic Games did become legit for multiple countries, from Denmark to France. Great Britain, Sweden, Hungary, Netherlands. Another country that goes by the name of Bohemia. Great Britain defeated Denmark to win the gold medal, and that right there is how the Olympic Games got to feature that. So... yeah, wow, USA finished silver medal in the 1904 Olympic Games. How? Both of them couldn't even try squat. Sheesh, the tournament ended a long time ago. Unbelievable. And Great Britain were winning tournaments after tournaments? Sheesh. This is ridiculous. It's more ridiculous because my nose... I can't stop itching my nose because I'm upset. Stop itching. Boy. Wow, and none of the Americans couldn't even make it to these tournaments. Sheesh. And I still can't stop itching my nose because I'm... jeez. I can't even stop itching my nose right now. That's how friggin' upset I am. I'm really out of it. Dude, looking up all of this information, and USA finishes 3rd in the inaugural FIFA World Cup of 1930. And by the way, it says they only made 12 appearances in the World Cup. And they're gradually... Thing is, even though the USA have never made it to the FIFA World Cup in 2018, at least in the 2000s, at least in the tournaments they entered in, at least they're making it. At least they're trying to make it to the group finals. They do, and they make it to the tournament and get eliminated off quickly. But here's the thing about the World Cup. So in 1930, they finished 3rd. Not bad. And then, well, in 1934, the 1934 FIFA World Cup did not feature much of a tournament other than a bracket. 16 players, no groups, bracket. Guess what? USA lost against Italy, and Italy went on to defeat Spain closely. Austria, didn't expect them. And a place called Czechoslovakia. Yeah, Italy defeated the worst team of American, went on to defeat Spain, everything else, and make it to the win. And then years later, in 1950, the USA did go on to compete with group in the Brazil Games, which was a controversy that year in history. They went on to win a game, but lose a couple and make it 10th place in group stage. Only in 1990, they finally made it. They got to group stage in 1990, losing all 3 games, finishing 23rd. 23rd out of a bunch of waste of time. They finished 23rd place out of 24 countries, the worst position ever. And it'll gradually get worse. In 1994, they did go on to win a game, draw, lose, and then had that controversy with Colombia. Lose in the round of 16, they always do. But then in 1998, after they finished 14th place, which was not good, but better than ever, 1998, they had a record of 32 countries in 1998. 32 countries competed. Guess where the USA went? USA went from Group F, losing games against Germany 2-0, 2-1 against Iran, and 1-0 against FR Yugoslavia. That entirely ended them dead last place. Worse than Japan, where the USA only scored, again, the USA didn't do squat. They only scored 1 goal, got 5 goals scored against themselves with a -4. Japan were -3, finishing dead last of 31st next to USA, with only scoring 1 goal and 4 goals against themselves. And they got scored 9 goals as South Korea got scored 9 goals and messed up with a huge by only scoring 2 goals. But South Korea finished 30th because they drawed the game and lost twice. And that was the dumbest. Heck, even Jamaica in Group H did almost a tiny bit worse. They only had 2 defeats, but they won a match, scoring only 3 goals and got 9 scored against themselves by a -6. And even Bulgaria could not do well as well. They got 1 draw, 2 losses, and scored 1 goal, 6 lost goals, and -6 on the game. So, yeah, above the cut, that's... Yeah, man, 1998, Asia and the USA could not do squat. And that right there was solidified horrible. And then in 2008, of all reasons, in 2002, America did the unthinkable. They made it from a wild turn of events where America and Asia did the unthinkable. Asia came in, and both South Korea and America were competing in the same group of Group D. Korea defeated Poland once. USA battled out with Portugal 3-2. Both Korea and USA drawed. And then, well, Poland defeated USA 3-1, but which is weird because Poland lost dominantly against Portugal 4-0 and Korea 2-0, and that just goes to show you how the curse of the USA FIFA World Cup is the worst. Korea defeated Portugal 1-0, and that was it. But surprisingly, that wasn't the end. Also, Mexico were doing surprisingly well that year in the tournament. Same with Japan. They got to their tournaments 2-1-0. So it's not terrible. Again, USA defeated their country of Mexico in the round of 16 2-0, and they battled hard against Germany 1-0 in the quarterfinals. They lost, but did surprisingly well. South Korea defeated Italy and goal-to-goal of 2-1. Battle against Spain in the quarterfinals with a 0-0 score, and they went to penalty kicks at 5-3. Yes, Korea lost against Germany in the semifinals 1-0, and they lost in the finals against Brazil 2-0. And, well, Turkey defeated Korea 3-2 in the third place finals. So, and even though Japan lost against Turkey, and, well, that was history there. And by the way, what's the country of Turkey? They're UEFA. Okay, so Turkey is also Europe. Great. Third place for them. So, yeah, at least the 2002 FIFA World Cup is not as terrible as it is. There was a lot of surprising underdog moments, and the USA did do some surprisingly good moments to... Even though their Portugal match thing was the center of ridiculousness. But yeah, again, 2002, that's pretty surprising for how other countries managed to compete that level. Then in 2006, out of 32 teams, well, America finished 25th. A draw and 2 defeats. 2 goals scored and 6 assisted goals for their other team. Again, I did saw the 2010 FIFA World Cup where they had a win, 2 draws, but they lost in the round of 16 against another country, which was, again, I still remember that game in South Africa where I saw it, and it kind of upsetted me so much to this day. They were in the bracket, lost against Ghana in the extra goal where that 1-1, and again, someone made an unbelievable kick past Ghana, and one of the Ghana players managed to barely surpass the American team past the goal by that close at the end by getting the ball and then scored it by the end of the game. Yes, Ghana lost against Uruguay, but yeah, that's still the sauce on the plate there. Again, that right there was ridiculous. Even though they finished 12th, it wasn't better than finishing 15th in the 2014 games, and yeah, the group and everything else. I still remember a lot of us people were watching games on TV at the time. Again, the 2022 games, they still finished 14th. America finished 12th in the 2026 game. So, again, at least they're finishing in the middle of the 15th and top 10. So it's not that terrible for them to be in the round of 16. But yeah, every time they make it to the tournament, it makes you wonder what's going to happen in the first game. Yes, the round of 32 is the most worst thing because people wish that this should have been the round of 16, and America should have gotten lucky to take Bosnia in the round of 16 and maybe got lucked on the quarterfinals. And again, it just goes to show you these brackets are problematic. Okay, so my throat is getting a little bit sore right now, so I'm going to take a break. I'm going to go out, drive somewhere. I'm going to end this video. I was going to talk about the Murad Gassiev versus the Peter Kadiru WBA title fight that happened yesterday, but we're going to get to that next time. So I'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned for tomorrow for next update. We'll talk about the WBA. I'm going to get a drink of water to clear my throat, and we'll be back for another episode.